I'm feeling ganged up on already here. This is like the Boston Tea Party all over again. This needs to stop.
Oh, yeah. We should kick his ass like that. A tea party butt kicking.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this very special episode of Not Board Gaming. This episode is called The Three Idiots, and with me are two very, very, very special idiots. Idiots right at the top of their idiot game. Joining me and the creator of this little session is Will Brown from The Hungry Gamer. Say hi, Will.
Hi, Will.
There we go. You see, the old ones never die, do they? And also alongside as well, we have Mike Kelley from One Stop Co-op Shop. Mike,
I'm sorry. After that joke, I can't do this anymore. I have to drop out.
So
if you do, Mark will send your children back to you. He won't keep them.
This is true.
So you better stay.
And trust me, they don't want that. They do not want that. Yes. So in this episode, what we've done is we've gone through our entire list of games that we covered in 2021, and we're going to have a battle royale of all our games. It's going to be 2 against 1 as the games go through this kind of qualifying period, and the best game shall win. And of course, it's going to be one of the games that I chose there because these two guys are American and they don't know what they're talking about.
That's accurate.
Good spots, old chap.
Yeah, there we go.
Pip, cheerio. What? Tea and crumpets and spotted dick.
Nice.
Hey, this is family show.
No,
family.
that's a delicacy.
Oh, I know.
It's not very nice.
All right, so we're just going to jump right in here, everybody. So, for everyone's knowledge, this is a 12-team bracket, so there are 4 games that got a bye. Each one of us, our number 1, got a pass to round 2, and the roll of the dice gave Mike's number 2 a pass into round 2 as well.
So at least two games in the second round.
I'm happy steal. Stop the steal.
God.
Ooh, that's a little too soon. We're not going to get
all controversial here.
Too soon? Yeah,
a little too soon. Like it's not even over yet. All right, but we'll start with the first one. And the first competition is between myself and Mark. We have Senjutsu versus Vast Mysterious Manor, with Senjutsu as the 8th seed in the tournament.
And I've played both of these, so I can be a somewhat I can be a knowledgeable judge for once.
All right, let the convincing begin. Go for it, Mark.
I don't really have to convince Malik on this one because Senjutsu isn't Vast Mysterious Manor. That's it. That's all there is to it, yeah? What you have here is, obviously, here in Senjutsu, it's developing into a fantastic skirmish game, a really, really good game. I know the version that we played was nowhere near the final version, but it still showed what potential is there. And so we've gone through this Kickstarter campaign by Stone Sword Games. You've got James Faulkner and Paul David Allen, really, really adding on to this package. And suddenly this very, very well-priced game is starting to develop into what could be one of the prime hits of this year. And let's face it, Vast Mysterious Manor, it's just another nice game from the house. There's Root and from Leader Games, etc., with some nice artwork on there. But, I think Will even admit that the solo mode on Vast Mysterious Manor really, really isn't very good. Am I right, Will?
Well, I will say all the solo mode that's been created for Vast Mysterious Manor was made by this brilliant content creator. I can't remember his name. Michael Kelley. Is the one that came up with it. So, I think the solo has really come along for Vast Mysterious Manor. And you see, the beauty of Vast Mysterious Manor is it is the quintessential asymmetric game. You are doing completely different things. It's incredible. You can be the skeletons, just completely ignore the spider, whatever you want to do. It's fantastic. Yes, the rules are a mess, but that's part of the fun, because what you do, it's part of the thing. You sit there and you go and you say, if I'm playing Mark and Mike's there and there's a conflict, I say, I don't care. It's between you two. You guys decide right now. You do you. And that's okay, because every time it's incredibly fun. And the art is not nice. The art is amazeballs. And
maybe.
I just want to point out that with Senjutsu, you just said it is developing into, which means it's not there. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Whereas, of course, Root, Vast Mysterious Manor, should I say, or Root version 2 or Oath 0.5, whatever you want to call it, yeah. Its solo mode is still developing. Is that correct there? And also,
well, this is not a solo show.
Well, I know, but what you've done there is
just because you only play with yourself doesn't mean we don't play with other people.
You could have.
This is getting a little rough already, guys.
I think we better turn it over to the judge here.
All right, this is
David and Goliath here, I think, Mike, and I think
this is actually a tough one. So let me kind of work through my thoughts because I'm trying to be fair for this one.
Senjutsu.
So I think if we go off solo, what I have played. Even though Senjutsu solo was pretty minimal when we played it, I think I would still prefer that to the official solo of Vast, which, as you said, Mark, is very weak. If I compared what we played of Senjutsu to my own solo mode, which kind of lets it play a bit more like the regular game, I would give Vast the win.
But
hold on.
There's no rules here. I've got to mute you.
Now, here's the thing, though. Vast also has multiplayer, which I think is what Will is banking on. But as many people have complained about in our Discord, for example, about Vast, and I tend to agree with them, I think Root is a much less fragile asymmetric multiplayer experience than Vast. Now, Mysterious Manor is better than the original Vast Crystal Caverns. I will give it that.
Caverns is hot garbage. Don't even talk about it.
But Mysterious Manor, I think, still has the same sort of issue where A takes down B, B takes down C, C takes down D. You can kind of get out of that kind of like paradigm a little bit, but it's definitely still there. So if you have that one weak player, if you have that one player who doesn't understand their role, you can let another player kind of run away with it, which I've not found to be.
Don't play with Mark.
I've not found to be the case as much with Root. I'm making my decision, sir. And then I do want to give credit to the developers of Senjutsu. The fact that they now have like asymmetric cards in the deck, so not all the fighters will play the same. The fact that they're going to have terrain, a solo campaign, co-op mode, and the competitive looks really fun for me too, for my taste. See, I am, even though I think Vast is pretty good, definitely better than Crystal Caverns, I think it's still far inferior to Root and Oath in terms of leader games for my money. So I'm going to, and yeah, I did make a solo mode for it, but it's one of the few solo modes I made for a game that I don't love. Usually I only do them for games I adore. So I'm going to go for Senjutsu here. Mark wins.
My God.
Senjutsu.
Yes, victory. Thank you very much, Michael Kelley. It's wrong what Will has always said about you. I think you're a decent person.
Oh. Well, that's good that I'm judging the next round.
You don't know what Mike said about you.
I'm now equally angry at both of you. All right, so our next contest, we have number 5, Paleo, versus number 12, Camp Grizzly. We'll let Mike with Paleo take it away first.
Well, one of these games just got its reprint, and you can buy. And one of these games you can find on eBay for like $400. And that game is Camp Grizzly. Paleo just won the Spiel des Jahres. It is a fabulous family game. You can also play it in heavier game circles. I've never taught it to anybody and not had them enjoy it. I know you personally will enjoy Paleo. It is a lovely game. It has a modular system where you can bind different adventures together. They've improved the art. That was one knock against the game. It did have not very much diversity, not very much historical accuracy in its depiction of Paleolithic man and woman. But now it has that in the new edition. And yeah, they have a new expansion coming that's fabulous. So even more content. But even out of the base game, it's a really great game of kind of engine building in that your character gets stronger and stronger. Well, engine building is not quite the right word. It's got great exploration as you kind of find out about these different like little adventures you can have. Again, lots of replay and modularity. Camp Grizzly, I love the theme. I love horror movies, but I've never been able to play it because it's so impossible to find. I've heard it's pretty much a random luck fest, and it's also a one versus many game, which is probably one of my least favorite types of games because one of you has to play as the killer. Am I wrong about that, Mark? Is it?
No, it's cooperative.
Is it cooperative? Oh, okay.
It's
but it doesn't. And correct me if I'm wrong though. Doesn't it have player elimination where you get knocked out of the game?
Oh, it can do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, there we go, Will. I mean, I know that's everyone's favorite mechanic, not playing a game for the last half of the game because you got killed early. So, but Mark, go ahead. Tell us about Camp Grizzly.
Well, no. Before we do that, you just mentioned, Paleo, which you said is a tableau builder, but it's not really a tableau, or engine builder, but not really an engine builder. Sounds like a very confused game to me. I mean, I've never played Paleo, but it sounds like even you don't know what Paleo is.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Mark, you did live
games.
it. You lived it.
Yeah, this is true. I'm a little bit older than you guys.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
I was there.
This is so personal. I feel attacked on your behalf.
But Camp Grizzly, yes, it's hard to find. There is no denying that. It was a Kickstarter back in 2013. They delivered it, and then they went off the radar. You can't find it. I managed to track it down at a price I was happy with, which is less than £100 for the base game.
Oh, that's good.
For me. So, I was pretty happy with that. And it is a game. It is you play cooperatively as you try to avoid the killer, complete objectives, get to a destination, and then escape the killer in the camp. It is the very essence of a film like Friday the 13th, but all played for fun. The artwork is by a Disney artist, and it's absolutely fantastic. You can teach the game in about 5 minutes flat. It is so accessible, and if you look online, you can still buy the pewter minis elsewhere online as well, and the additional cards for all the expansions, which are pretty much like rocking horse teeth to get a hold of, rocking horse poo, hen's teeth to get a hold of. But Camp Grizzly for me hits the spot.
I don't understand either of those references.
No one does.
Rocking horse poo or hen's teeth. Yeah, they're both very, very rare.
Very rare. Is that what okay, got it.
So yeah, there's nobody I haven't taught Camp Grizzly to who hasn't loved Camp Grizzly. And yes, there is elimination in it. It tends to come right at the back end of the game, in kind of the last maybe last quarter, if that, of the game, maybe the last fifth of the game. But you still have a great time interacting with people, telling them to go here, telling them to go there. It's got a really good knack of just when you think you're in a position where you're going to win, cards will come out and it will turn the entire game against you. Plays in about 60 minutes. It's just a tremendous amount of fun. And yeah, it's a pretty old game, but and hard to find. But if you can track it down, you have to pay the price. It's well worth the investment. I don't know anybody that's played Camp Grizzly that doesn't like Camp Grizzly. Let's put it that way.
Well, it does sound like no one can play it, so that does make sense.
Well, I can.
Yeah. All right, so here's where we are. So the fact that it's really hard to get.
I've got pictures of you, Will, by the way. I've got pictures of you. I will post them on the internet.
Wow, dude, it's not even like the final round. Like, you're
I
doing it early. What the heck?
You wait till I get to the final round. Yeah.
Now, so that it's got that going against it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Mark did use a completely nonsensical analogy, which is points for him. Now, I did play Paleo, yeah. and I did enjoy Paleo. So that makes me lean a little bit towards Paleo. But what's going to make me give this to Camp Grizzly is the fact that I refuse to let Mike have 3 in round 2 right away.
That's fair. That's fair. I can respect that logic.
Allowed. But what makes me think about giving it back to Paleo is that would mean we have a Mark versus Mark round 2.
Man, look, I played.
Does Mark argue with himself
as a solo gamer?
I'm not sure. I think you would have to argue for Voidfall for him.
I can do that. I'm fine with Voidfall.
So. Yeah, but no, I'm going to give it to Camp Grizzly because we cannot allow a clean sweep of the first round.
Twofers.
Well done, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Keep those nonsensical British things coming. All right. This is the next one is another one I have a feeling I'm going to lose out on, unfortunately, in a tragedy. But we have our number 7, which I believe was from Mike, is Root. And verse number 10 coming from me, Cosmic Frog.
Oh, I know Mark played Cosmic Frog. I don't know if we're going to lose this.
All right. Well, I'll jump in first. Give Mike's voice a rest from that wailing and crying from the beating he just took. All right. So
no, the injustice of it all.
Cosmic Frog. I'm gonna hold on to a little bit of the stuff here. I'm just gonna pitch this with theme. You are a 3-mile-high space frog. You are powered by a piece of a star. You hop through the cosmos until you find a shattered world. Then you land on the pieces of the shattered world and you swallow mountains and lakes all into your belly. And sometimes another 3 Mile High star-powered cosmic frog will show up. And of course, you have to fight. And if you get hit hard enough, you get launched into the third, the fourth, the fifth, even the sixth dimension. And you have to come back. Playable in teams.
Are these the real themes? Like,
yes.
Is this really? Wow.
Yes. Playable in teams, solo, or pure competitive up to 6 players. That's all I need to drop
have a cosmic
on this.
frog in front of me.
Oh
in the
God.
amazing frog meeples.
Look at
Or
that.
frog minis. Okay, Root. What you
So,
got?
but by the way, Will, I know Mark didn't play this, but Will and I played a prototype at PAX called Cosmoctopus, which is where you're trying to suck up to a cosmic octopus that like rules the entire Inky realm.
Which
And
sounds great.
Which has been signed by
What?
it's been signed by a company we all know, but it hasn't been announced. I'll tell you guys after.
Yeah, good job.
Ooh.
Am I allowed to say who designed it at least without saying?
I don't know. So
Okay.
good job, person.
Yes, good job. Congratulations, my friend. I'll message you later. So that's really cool to hear. Yeah. So I the one thing I'll say is, Mark, I know you love solo especially, and I forget what your opinion was on Cosmic Frog, but when I asked Will, should I get Cosmic Frog to cover it for solo, he said no, which I think is already
only solo. I don't think Mike would like it.
okay. I'm just saying he
Like,
literally
Mike,
de-recommended the game.
His
And he's trying to say
predilections for games that are not great, and so
okay, so he says it's not great. There we go. Whereas Root is well regarded as
Hold
one of
on,
the
English
greatest games
teacher.
recently.
you know that is exactly not what I said.
So
And Mark invented the language, so he knows what I said.
This is true. Yes.
fair point. Yeah, so Root, fabulous asymmetric game, great for multiplayer, and unlike Vast, this is one that you can kind of mash together any 2 or 3 or 4 factions, and they can all interact with each other in meaningful ways. They can all kind of change up how the game plays. The original solo was not great, but Mark, I think you've played the Clockwork, or at least the app, and I think that is fabulously well done, a real like labor of love there. It's one of my favorite solo games, and I think the infinite variety of taking different, like the exploration of different factions and kind of seeing how they play, as much as that can be frustrating with the rules. That's probably the one biggest knock against it. Just like learning all the rules and running all the factions, and then like mixing and matching them with other factions, I think is endlessly entertaining. So, and no knock against Cosmic Frog. I wanted to get it. Will told me not to. But Root, I think, is one of the greatest games.
I was protecting Mike from doing a video where he talks about the randomness of the dice and all of these.
I like
things,
dice.
He looks like a fool because it is chaos. That game is chaos unbound. But I'm just going to leave it with this, Mark. 3 Mile High, star-powered space frogs.
Yes, I mean, Root just has lovely, lovely art by Kyle Fair, and I don't think the theme can beat
oh my gosh,
cosmic insanity.
He's
All
reduced
right, so
to name dropping.
This is where I can speak with some level of authority, because we've already seen my Cosmic Frog here, and behind my copy of Full Moon jacket, I have everything for Root.
Oh,
well.
shoot. Look at that secret revelation there. Wow.
So I'm going to speak on both of them. Now, let's start with Cosmic Frog. I think it's some of the best artwork I've ever seen in a game, ever. I think, don't get me wrong, Root artwork, absolutely fantastic as well. But Cosmic Frog, something different. The artwork on those cards is absolutely great. The neoprene mat is fantastic. The frog miniatures are great. And the whole premise and the setting takes me back to the 80s when I did things I shouldn't have been doing. So I got a lot of love for Cosmic Frog. And also the solo mode, the much derided solo mode, was by Ricky Royal. So, you know, it's not an official solo mode. He obviously has worked with, what's the guy called who did Cosmic Frog?
Jim Felley.
Yeah, that's it, Jim Felley. Worked with Jim Felley and created a really workable solo mode. Is it worth getting the game purely for the solo mode? Probably not. I did. But I wouldn't say, it's something that you should do. But I think if you're going to play it with other people, it's a great and unique experience. Now, Root, lead games, big tentpole game, of course, fantastic artwork. Cole Worley. It is Cole Worley, isn't it? The
yes.
Root, is that right? Yeah. Cole Worley. Took them a while to get these solo rules right. So the original kind of mechanical marquee, whatever it was called, wasn't very good. But then the Clockwork expansion kind of fixed that. Almost, but then it had some misprints that came out on the board.
And I know you were very happy about the way that that
yeah, the only way to get this was to rectify this was to either print stuff out and kind of put it on your board, or if you were very lucky and got a very small window, you could get some stickers. Or if you backed the latest Kickstarter, you could get stickers. Now, I love Root. I think it's asymmetrical gaming at almost its finest. There's a lot going on with the various factions, and once you get the flow of those asymmetrical factions in the solo modes, they work very, very well. So Root has a hell of a lot going for it, and I think it's, it is a great solo game. But for the very fact that they constantly just push solo players to one side, and it required a fan-made solo mode to bring it into play here, that kind of edges me off it. But then again, with Cosmic Frog, exactly the same thing. It is a fan-made solo mode, but they didn't need any revisions for it, or you didn't need to print stuff off yourself or buy additional components. So I'm coming at this, kind of holistically, but from a solo perspective. And I think as much as I love Root, I'm going to give this to Cosmic Frog because I just love the artwork and the uniqueness of it. Yep. So, Will, you're through with Cosmic Frog.
And the good news is that stops Mike from having 3 in round 2.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Right. Okay. Oh,
well, if it's, I was ready with it, because if it sounded like you were going to go to the evil empire, I was going to throw that out.
I don't know why the empire, but I fully respect that. And I agree 100%, Mark. In fact, I've said this several times. As much as I like Root, I don't even play with the stickered revisions. I play with the Automa Project designers' preferred rules, which Leader Games did not go with. So there are some things that are still different in his original that I think work better. I think they made some bad calls. So yeah, I think Leader has some challenges. Also looking at Oath in how they I love them as a company. I think they do great stuff. But I think they have some challenges in how they approach solo, and I think they don't have the right mindset for solo yet. And I don't know. It's weird to look at Cole World's stuff in general because
he's working with Ricky on PAX Premier 2 and John Company, isn't he? Basically, so
and those look great. And PAX is fabulous. Like that one, I have no complaints about. But Oath he did himself, and I think that was a weak solo mode. And then this one, it took several revisions, and I still don't think it's the best it could be. So I think he's very much not addicted. He's very much attached to competitive, which is what these games are really.
Which is fine.
So I get that.
And they excel there. They absolutely excel. All right. Well, last one for round 1. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a blowout one way or the other. We have number 6, Kanban EV versus number 11, Theurgy.
I've not played either of these, and I've been interested in both, so this should be fun. So I'm assuming Mark is Kanban since he's all about the big Vita Lacerda games. And okay.
All right. Well, who would you like to hear about first there?
We just heard from Mark explaining his judgment. So let's hear from you again, Will.
Okay. So we have Theurgy, another wonderfully themed game. You are a forgotten god, almost forgotten. You got literally 2 followers left, and everyone is their own forgotten god. And what you have is you are striving to bring your religion back, build your temple so you become the god of the land. But not only are you battling all these other gods, you're battling science, alchemy, that kind of science, which is growing. So you have these complete non-believers. So you're sending your acolytes around the board, using powers, performing miracles, summoning monsters, doing all kinds of stuff, and slowly trying to convert these other people to follow you. But the fun part is you can convert the other players' followers. You're like, I know you're a worshiper of Dainty, but wouldn't you rather follow Kelley? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Kelley's way better than Dainty. But then, of course, Mark can come right back and then take him back and take some of yours. Or Mark can summon a monster to go in and just eat some of your followers and then say, see what happens when you follow Kelley? This is what
monster
happens.
Eating is definitely a pretty strong selling point here, I got to say.
And so you're going through, and so you basically got area control. It's an area control game with a bit of the scythe style action selection. You have 4 core actions you can do, which makes the game exceedingly easy to teach, and you always have to move it. So you can't do the same thing over and over again. And each different god has their own special power. Like one god, the blue god, gets to move twice, 2 hexes instead of just 1 hex, which means in 1 turn you can cross the map with all of your people. Or the red one, if they don't move around, they can convert more cubes or followers to themselves. Each of them plays completely differently. It has a very hard, very challenging solo mode. And after Mark and I did a game, we said, you could really do a cooperative. They have done a full cooperative mode in the official box, all coming soon. That is Theurgy. Let's hear about the game that's so dry, it's going to set the computer on fire. Kanban.
Man, you say this is dry, and you mentioned Theurgy. Right at the beginning, you mentioned Theurgy was about forgotten gods. Let me tell you about Theurgy. I played it. I kind of enjoyed it. I'd forgotten it existed. That's how much it stuck in my mind. But Theurgy is a fine game.
He has nothing to argue when he just falls back on mean quips.
It's a fine game from first-time designers. I know it's their second time to try and get it launched. I'm really glad that it got back to Theurgy. But by what you just said, it's literally a game about bullying people into your way of thinking. Yeah, it's a little bit of colonialism. It's a little bit of, if you don't like what I say, my dog's going to bite you. Yeah, and that it just seems a little bit mean for me. Now, when you get to Kanban EV, right? First of all, I got no interest in
Isn't
cars.
Camp Grizzly about killing a bunch of campers?
Hey, this is a different round entirely, Will. You already made your choice there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just making sure that, for everyone listening, if you're wondering, Mark cares about life?
No backsies. Kanban EV, about cars. I don't care about cars. I don't care about making cars. But what you got here is just a kind of a confluence. I don't know. Confluence. That's what I'm looking for.
That's right.
A conflagration of Euro.
Of everything that needs to happen to make work. You've got these wonderful production qualities from Eagle Griffin Games. That's always going to be stellar. Yes, the games are expensive, but there's a reason. It's because of this. You've got Vita Lacerda's patented workers action selection type mechanics, but set in a car factory. You've got some wonderful little metal car miniatures with it. And the aim of the game on the solo, which is designed by David Turczy, and it's the finest Vita Lacerda solo that there is. The aim of the
Was
game
it designed by David Turczy?
The name of the game is to not get fired. I mean, that's the aim. What a great thing to do, to actually try and better yourself, not to bully people into not liking you, but to try and better yourself, to produce high quality cars that the public wants and be better at your job at doing it. I think it's just a fantastic connection of mechanics and mechanisms, should I say, of the theme which goes on there, of the production quality of the solo mode. It is just absolutely great, and nobody gets bullied. Nobody will.
Mike, that is the most Euro pitch ever. Here is a dry game about trying not to be fired. That is your everyday. Here's your game about doing your job.
Hey, I don't know how you will, but I do my job quite well. I'm not in danger of being fired. Fingers crossed.
I like that fingers crossed at the end there.
This is a tough one, guys. This is a tough one.
Yeah. It's so Euro.
Because both these are games I have not played, and both these are games that I am legitimately very interested in playing. And even more so Theurgy after you said it as a co-op mode.
That we get no credit for, Will. We should be. I mean, the reason you shouldn't want this forward anyway, because we got no Spondulics from this, mate.
Oh, it's not the version that we came up with that we said was great. They were like, yeah, that would work. And now here's one that's good. is what they pretty much did.
Well, you still deserve like an idea buy or a story buy credit. So Kanban. Mark, let me interrogate a bit since I haven't played either of these. Mark, you build the cars. Do you race the cars? Because I like car races.
There is a track, and you take the cars around the test track. That triggers certain things in the game. You also design the cars. You buy the parts. You build the cars.
Ooh.
You ship them through the factory, and you put them onto the test track.
Because I used to play a lot of Gran Turismo, where I would be modding my cars and stuff and trying to make them the best they could be. So that's a big selling part. Will, Would you say that there are workers you have to move around in Theurgy?
No.
Ooh.
Unless
There
you
are
would
acolytes.
argue that in Scythe you're moving workers around.
No, I wouldn't.
Then no.
Yeah, that's more area control. Okay.
I'd say there are slaves in Theurgy.
Maybe if you're the guy.
Don't make me the slave supporter if I vote one way or the other, Mark. Come on now. That is underhanded, sir.
Go to Mark's European car sweatshop.
German engineering is finding Ursprung Dork technique.
I think. Oof.
And do you really want to give
previous
Mark
experience, if I got both of these, one of them would be a sure bet for culling on shelf life.
And the other one would be Kanban.
No, I think Kanban would be the one that would get called probably. It's because I've not, as much as I've enjoyed them for competitive, I just have not.
It is the best solo.
Well, you know what? Hold on. I'm not voting yet. One quick question, Mark. My biggest complaint in every Vita Lacerda solo mode that has been designed by him, I haven't played ones designed by other people, has been that it's the same thing every time. Like you have here's a puzzle to beat. Like you have to do these 3 things. You know how he has the check marks? Like do these 4 things for the middle difficulty, do these 5 things for the highest difficulty. Does Kanban work like that, or is it a more replayable, more varied experience?
It is. It does have that mechanism at the end of it, but there is the ability to get fired in Kanban as well, which you don't have in the other ones. So in the other Vita Lacerda games, there's no loss in there. You just don't achieve a set score. Whereas in Kanban, there is a loss mechanism in Kanban, so you can lose the game, and you can lose it. And
Will and Theurgy, is it an automa that plays against you?
You can play as many as you want against you. So you could play against multiple.
And they're varied, but like you said, the different gods have different powers?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going with Theurgy, Mark. I'm sorry. Theurgy wins. No. That's just right in my wheelhouse, whereas what you were saying is kind of the thing that I like least about the Lacerda, specifically solo. I think Lacerda for competitive is amazing. And it does sound like this is better, but it still probably would not last more than 5 plays for me.
As I looked at the brackets that came out, I was like, you know what? There's some looking at who was going to be judging. I was like, that's right out. I was like,
I mean, I'm not trying to play the system and suck up to judges for the next round. I'm just trying to be honest with my thoughts.
Ooh. Speaking of the next round, we are in round 2 where we have Mike's number 1 game, his game of the year, Bullet versus Senjutsu, the darling of round 1. And that's a number 1 versus a number 8. I'll let number 8 go first, Senjutsu.
Senjutsu. Well, we've already spoken about Senjutsu, and it is.
So don't bore me with the same argument.
Oh, come on, but it's not. It's an exceptional skirmish game with fantastic-looking miniatures on there. A pretty unique setting for a skirmish game. They've got a cultural consultant on board. I don't believe that Bullet has a futuristic cultural consultant on board. Yeah.
I don't think they do. You're right. That's. Damn you, level 99. How dare you?
And there are a raft of expansions already planned for Senjutsu. There's loads coming out with the Kickstarter there. Price-wise, it's a little bit more expensive than Bullet, but you get a lot more gameplay in Bullet, and your games will generally last a little bit longer. And there is a cohesive.
Wait, you just said there's more gameplay in Bullet?
That is what he said.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
More gameplay than there is in Bullet.
Different. Okay. Yeah. Just a second.
In England, in means than. It's the same thing.
So I think again, Senjutsu should win on this because I've got Bullet, and I got Bullet on Mike's and yours recommendation, and it's fine. But it doesn't hit my table nowhere near as much as Senjutsu has hit my table, and that's even the prototype state. I think Bullet is an okay game, but as a solo game, I think Senjutsu has more going for it than Bullet.
All right. I mean, I think Senjutsu could be good. Like you said, when you argued against it in round 1, Will, that it's all kind of like hopes and dreams at this point. And I think they'll probably deliver. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I like those guys. But Bullet is fabulous now. Will, I know it's like one of your wife's favorite games. I know you don't like it as much as she does. I'm not sure how that'll influence your vote.
And I will admit, she really doesn't like Senjutsu, not because of the game, because that is the type of game that she
because it's British and she's anti-British. That's why.
Senjutsu is British. I know it's British makers, but
yeah. So, but I will say on the same thing, my wife doesn't let me play Bullet with her. She says, just set it up and leave.
Yeah, I mean, I know that most people don't like Bullet as much as I do, but most people like Bullet. It's maybe not their number one, but it's my number one. I think it's a fabulous puzzle game. I think it's very quick to play, incredibly quick to set up, so it's fun to just like throw on the table and play. Will, we've had fun, you and I, playing competitive, or losing competitive at PAX. I think co-op works great. I think solo works great. I think it's one of those few games that is fabulous for all three modes of play. I think it's got amazing variety, even out of the base box, which is much, much cheaper than Senjutsu's base box. It doesn't have miniatures, but it does have really nice little like tokens you put on a board.
Cardboard tokens in the base box. Yeah,
sure.
You have to spend extra money to get the deluxe tokens.
That is true. That is true. I think Senjutsu probably wins by components, which is not how I judge games, but if you want to, that's fine.
Shade.
But yeah, so I think Bullet is endlessly entertaining, and it is one that'll be hitting my table for a long time. And I know it'll be at least in your house for a long time, Will, whether or not you're the one playing it. So I'll leave it up to you. I'm really not sure which way you're going to fall on this one.
I'm just thinking, Will, you obviously, you supported James and Paul with the whole Hogs of War thing. I think you consider them friends. It really is up to you, this. Yeah. How many people you want to let down right now?
Wow.
Are you implying that I would let down your entire country? Is that what you're implying?
I think that's the way this is going. With all the barbed jibes here, I think there's a sense of xenophobia creeping up right now. Yes.
I'm not sure that's the sun never sets on the English Empire that you to throw around the xenophobia thing. I don't know that that's a good pitch. Right, but this is the hardest. This was the one that I was actually worried about being in competition, because this is a very, very close, because neither of these games is a style of game that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are really, really well done. So I'm leaning towards, where did you both go wrong in your argument? So
guys like being at school. This
I know, right? So now Mark said specifically that Bullet has more gameplay. He did say that.
He did reverse himself, to be fair.
Well, it doesn't matter. I have we live in a 24-hour news cycle. That's already been
right. The sound bite's already been seen by 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, though, Mike tried to pitch Bullet's great components without mentioning you got to pay extra for them. So that's a pretty harsh hit.
I wasn't trying to be, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell which one of us makes games, can't you? There, basically. So
yeah, right.
I'm definitely used to some throwing together like cardboard paper and note cards.
Right. So then it comes back to, my wife really likes the one, and that's real. That's big. Like, if I wanted just to have a night to do what I want, I could literally set that up, get a bottle of wine, and I could just go off.
Is Sarah going to watch this? Is Sarah going to watch this to know that you're manipulating her in such a fashion?
Oh no, I've done that before, and she's fine with it. But
that's marriage right there. That's love. See.
But on the other hand, with Senjutsu, when that shows up, I am excited about the campaign that they're putting together. So a little solo campaign, and they've added a lot of the stuff that they're adding is very exciting to me. Which means, as a lover of chaos, I'm rolling a die.
You're rolling that die? That one looks a little untrustworthy for randomization.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, then. Mark, are you odds or evens then?
I'll go evens.
All right. It's not one.
I knew it. Good job, big one.
Yeah, there we go.
Bullet it is.
You know what? I'm okay losing to Bullet. I know it's a much loved game. It's not.
I would have been fine losing to Senjutsu. I'm really excited for
those.
Those
are both very fun. They're both very. So people is like, truly, they're both very fun. And Mark.
I mean, literally, just to pause for a second. I'm trying to think. What have we not heard of yet? Voidfall, and what was the other one that's not mine?
Pingyao and Exceed.
Yeah, so literally every one of these 12 games I've either played and enjoyed, or it's a game I have looked up. So, Mark, I didn't say this during the round because we were against each other, but I like actively sought for a copy of Camp Grizzly for a year or so before finally giving up, because I'm such a big horror fan and I heard such good things about it, and Kanban is the Vita Lacerda game I'm most interested in, and Cosmic Frog I was interested in getting a copy. So yeah, I don't mind if any of these win. I think these are all
exactly
games.
right. Yeah.
All right, now moving into Voidfall, Mark's number one versus Mark's other one, Camp Grizzly. Now, Mark, you're going to have to allow Mike to argue for one of these for you. So I'm going to allow you to pick which one you're going to argue for, which one you're going to let Mike argue for.
See, the devil in me wants Mike to argue for Camp Grizzly because he's never played it.
I've read the rules.
And do keep in mind, whichever one wins faces off against Bullet.
Right. Okay.
I'm not playing politics. I'll just shoot straight.
So I do think, though, but in the interest of fairness, Mike should argue for Voidfall. He has played Voidfall, and therefore he should argue for that. So, Mike, I'm going to let you go first on Voidfall then.
I mean, it is Mark's number one, so he himself thinks it's better than Camp Grizzly. I'll say to begin, which is interesting. But besides that, yeah, this is the same team of designers, Nigel and David Theurgy, that did Imperium, which is also a fantastic game. This is awesome effort from Mind Clash. You're going to have beautiful components. We know how Mind Clash does their stuff. I have actually not played it competitive, but both solo and co-op are really well thought out. It's an entirely different mode of play. It's not something that's thrown in. It's not like some random kind of thing they threw together. It is a game with great variety in the factions. It's going to be even better when we see the advanced factions, but even in the basic factions, you get a lot of variety. Nice replay in the different scenarios they're doing and different technologies you have access to. A really thought-provoking play of these cards, these action cards. Now, a knock against it is crazy iconography, but they've been simplifying it in every iteration. Every design update they do, they've talked about cutting icons out. They've talked about cutting complication, making it a bit more easier to learn game. And I still learned it and was able to teach it after playing it twice. So I think it's a really solid, there are a lot of Euro-ish sensibilities, but I think this one can appeal to those big sci-fi 4X fans as well. Combat is exciting. Upgrading your ships and stuff and getting dreadnoughts and things is exciting. This is one that I'm really into. And I know Mark, like I said, is more into it than Camp Grizzly, to be fair. But I guess it all depends on what you're more into, Will. And I think you would love this one too. So that's my pitch for Voidfall.
Yeah, and I can't really argue against any of that because it is my number one game I covered last year. So how do I argue against a game I covered last year? But I can a little bit because what Camp Grizzly has that Voidfall doesn't have is accessibility. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, you can set Camp Grizzly up and you can play it with anybody and they'll have a fun time. Now, I guarantee that if I sat down with my wife or other people to try and teach them Voidfall, 3 hours into the teach, just before we started playing the game, everybody would have already caught the bus home at that point. Yeah, my wife would be divorcing me, the dog would have left home, the kids would have gone. It would be that kind of thing because there are rules and there are micro rules and there are rules beyond those micro rules as well in Voidfall, and the decision trees are overwhelming. I'm not arguing against a game with mechanics that I absolutely love because I love all that stuff, but it's not for everybody. Whereas Camp Grizzly, for pure fun, pure accessibility, for a 60-minute game that you can have with a beer and some pretzels and just have fun reliving all that, then Camp Grizzly absolutely hits all that. But I am still arguing against my number one game, which I cannot wait to get my hands on the final copy of. So I'm split here, Will. I've got my favorite old game, if you like, and my favorite new game. So yeah,
that's good.
Well, and to be fair, it does sound like after that 3-hour teaching from you, you'll be having lots of beer as well.
Yeah.
So, you do have that. So I'm a little torn on this one. So Voidfall was out on Kickstarter exact same time as another 4X game, Fractal, which I think I really like. I didn't put it in there because I worked with them a little bit, so I shouldn't put that as a part of my list. So Fractal I think is very good. And they were both up at the same time. Everyone's like, which one should I get? Like they were the same. They're nothing like each other. Not at all.
Yeah.
What I like about Voidfall is that Euro bit, because I do like a Euro game. I am a fan of the Euro. However, I do have a bit of butthurt about it because I tried to preview it and I got stonewalled. So there's a little butthurt in there. Now, with Camp Grizzly, I don't care about horror at all. Horror is not my thing. Like, it's so far down the list of themes I like. So sci-fi way better than horror. And so, but it does have the easiness to teach. So I could teach my wife how to play. But my wife hates horror.
But your wife
But
would be
it's
playing
American.
Bullet though, so it wouldn't come up.
That's her, and she hates horror, so she wouldn't be interested in playing.
Okay.
But it's American. You know, Voidfall is not. Voidfall Space, Camp Grizzly, it's set in, you know, quaint Americana.
Oh, so it's
With slashers.
So your pitch is how America, you go camping and people kill you? That's your pitch?
Yeah, but isn't that true?
I mean,
it could be, you know, fair enough. Fair enough.
But a little too soon. Mark, you just sunk yourself. Mike, congratulations.
Wow.
Voidfall wins.
Wow. All right, Voidfall.
But Mike wins, but I win.
I mean, I was going to say, either way, Mark wins.
All right. And whoa, my goodness. Now I'm facing off against myself with Pingyao, the Golden Pawner.
I think both of us played Pingyao, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you played Golden Pawner, though.
No, I didn't play Golden Pawner. You're right.
It's very specific there versus Cosmic Frog. So, Mark, I think you have to argue my Cosmic Frog.
Okay.
And I'll go with Pingyao, because you didn't play Pingyao, did you, Mark?
I didn't know. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I played Dunhang, but not Pingyao.
All right. So, well, Mark, why don't you go ahead and go, because I was just talking.
So we've already touched on some of the beauty behind Cosmic Frog, the absolute unique nature of Cosmic Frog. Now, as I say, it's not solo mode for everybody, but I got it purely for that solo mode, designed by Ricky Royal, master of solo, and it works really, really well. It creates a nice puzzle, a unique time for it. Now, I also know that I could absolutely teach Cosmic Frog in about 20-25 minutes, Will, and everybody will have a grasp of what's happening, which I think is far better than trying to teach somebody the vagaries and the fineries of the Chinese banking system, which you get in Pingyao. Will mentioned dry euros earlier. I mean, when we talk about the Chinese banking system, I don't think it gets much drier than that, does it, Will? So what I mean, don't get me wrong, Pingyao's got some beautiful artwork for the style of game that it is, but there's no 3 Mile High frogs there. There's no LSD trippy cards coming out at you. There's no bouncing off into the void and coming back on into a different hex part of your wonderful neoprene mat with your 3 Mile High frog miniatures and your crystals all over the place. I think, Mike, you haven't got Cosmic Frog yet. You need to reach out to Jim Kelley and get yourself a copy of Cosmic Frog, because if you don't enjoy, well, you will enjoy the solo, but you will love it as a multiplayer game as well. And it is dripping in all that wonderful cosmic theme. And I'm sure that Pingyao is dripping in all the theme of Chinese banking.
Well, no, I can't argue with Cosmic Frog being a brilliant competitive game. But what I will say is, so yes, theme on Pingyao is a little dry. However, the Golden Pawner gives you all that joy of Pawn Stars, Mike. You know what I'm talking about, that show, Pawn Stars?
I don't know Pawn Stars.
Oh, well, this is not like a History Channel. Basically, they found some...
Can we just rectify the spelling of pawn here, please, yeah? P-A-W-N is what you're talking about, isn't it? Yeah. That's the
goal.
Yeah.
The Golden Pawner. You get to open pawn shops. So there's a TV show, Mike. So on like the History Channel. It should never be on the History Channel, but it's,
I think I get the idea.
Yeah. So they have horrible people trying to sell junk, and they say it's historical. It's great, but the lovely joy of now you also get, not only you open your banks, but you're opening ridiculous pawn shops. And now the reason I specifically picked the Golden Pawner is, so if you remember the game, Mike, you have that remittances thing where you're,
yeah.
It takes that and makes it fun. It takes that part of the
I
game.
already felt that was fun. That was my favorite part of the game.
Right, but it makes it way more fun.
Okay.
Because what it lets you do is it lets you move your money around 20 times easier. Because if you remember, you couldn't, it was really hard to move money to different banks. But with the Golden Pawner expansion, it changes the remittances up, and suddenly you're able to put your money in a lot more places. As you're taking these remittances out, you're putting money onto the remittances also, as well as moving them around the banks. And it just suddenly makes the game open up so much more. And talk about components. Those Saichi, those silver ingots, are amazing. And you don't have to pay extra for them. This is a game that I hate a dry euro. And when I was asked by Tyson to cover this, I was like, oh my gosh, you want me to cover a game about Chinese banking? It is on. If it had come out last year like it was supposed to, it would have been in my top games of the year list. That's how good this game is.
So I'm just slightly worried by some of your choices, though, Will, and I just want to get this. So we've already had Theurgy, which is about bullying people into believing your state of mind, and now you've got these.
Whoa, no! We can't bring in other stuff. Remember that?
No,
no backsies. No
but
backsies.
It's fine. I got my choice. I got my choice.
But now we're talking about extreme capitalism as well. So I'm sensing a very definite way in which
the extreme capitalism in China.
Isn't your game? Isn't your game, Mark, about like literally eating planets? Wasn't that what?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but not Earth. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. So this is a tough one for me because I am very interested in Cosmic Frog, but I played Pingyao and enjoyed it a lot. And Golden Pawner only looks like it would make things better. So I am going to go with the Devil I Know over the Devil I Don't. But Cosmic Frog still sounds great. I would like to play it. I probably will reach out since you both recommended it now. But yeah, so we'll go with Golden Pawner for Pingyao going forward. Oh, sorry, Mark.
Yes,
don't apologize to me.
Sorry, me.
Sorry, Will.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel bad about it, but
that's right. They were both Wills. I forgot about that. Yeah, good call.
Next time I come back to the East Coast, I'll bring my fully painted Cosmic Frog.
Nice.
All right. Here. Oh my gosh, I got 3 in a row here. So now we have Mike's number 2, which got to buy Exceed versus my number 11 seeded Theurgy, the last game of the second round. And I'll jump right in. Nobody even knows what Exceed is. Like,
I mean, yeah, you're right. That they've definitely had 5 seasons that have.
Mark, you don't even know what this is. You don't know what it is, and it sounds purely competitive. All right, I think it's like a battle system or some nonsense like that. There's no solo.
There is that I made.
Oh, wow. Fan-made
and it's incredibly well regarded, and Mark would love it, I think.
Fan-made solo by the guy who wouldn't even support his own fan-made solo earlier. So he doesn't stand behind his stuff. Versus the ability to play solo, co-op, and it's only gotten better from when we did. Because remember how much fun we had when we played there?
He already said that. He didn't remember the game.
No, but he remembers having fun. Hey, go back and design another fan-made solo that you won't support. All right. The old people are talking here.
Aren't I older than you, Will? Didn't we talk about this?
No, I'm like 2 months older than you or something.
Okay, never mind.
But Mark, so what you got to think about here is all of the different variety that you get in Theurgy of the different gods playing so differently. And again, you can play solo. You can play solo against one other god. You can play solo against 2, 3, or 4, as many as you want. Or you can play this Exceed season thing that no one knows what it is.
I mean, Will, literally going for asymmetry is like the weakest way you could go when you're going to get Exceed, which each season has 16 completely different asymmetric fighters. Well, Mark, here's how I'll sell it to you, because I know you haven't played it yet, I don't believe. Exceed is very much like Senjutsu. It is a fighting game. It's all card-based, so it's a lot cheaper than Senjutsu, but it is the same thing where you reveal a card. And
so he's saying your other pick's terrible is what he's saying.
And yeah, so you reveal a card, and based on the different cards, you have different initiatives. Like Senjutsu probably played Exceed, I would guess, that team, because it's a very similar system. And it's even more asymmetrical. Every character plays totally different, has a totally unique deck, and it has tons of strategy, because you not only have to like attack, but you can move around the arena. You can play these cards to like boost yourself. And not to toot my own horn too much, but my solo is incredibly well regarded and does allow you to play with every single fighter out of the 3 seasons I've done so far. And we're adding in the other seasons. I work with some other people to add in the other seasons right now. So
sounds like he's just pushing his own stuff is why he's talking about it.
Oh my gosh, Will. So yes, I think you would love this one, especially with you enjoying Senjutsu so much, Mark. And I'm happy to teach it to you whenever you want. And it's also fabulous for 1v1. I mean, it's mainly a 1v1 competitive game. And
Mark,
it's fabulous
I'm happy
to
too. Braid your hair if you'd like.
Oh my gosh. All right. Anyway, go ahead, Mark. You decide.
the very thought of Will braiding my hair is just literally. Anyway, fine. So one of these games I played, obviously, I played Theurgy, and I think Theurgy, from the British designers, is it's a really good game that they brought out, and they put a lot of love in Theurgy. Does do something different in the game space, if you like. It offers a scythe-like mechanic in there with, well, it's not quite area control. You are spreading out and spreading your love everywhere. And yeah, there's got a lot going for Theurgy. I do like the asymmetrical god powers that are in there. Now, Exceed, I know nothing about. Yeah, I just know that it's one of your favorite games, and I know that you have designed a solo mode for it. I think it's. I can't remember where you rank this in BattleCon. Whether BattleCon is a better game.
Exceed is better than BattleCon for. Yeah. I would say for 95% of players, Exceed's going to win out for most people, because the big difference. You've played BattleCon, Mark?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, yeah, the big difference is BattleCon is like a kind of zero-sum information thing. So you can like spend too long kind of APing. I still love BattleCon, but you can spend too long APing like exactly what your opponent could play. Exceed, because you have random draw on these unique decks, it's a little bit faster, a little bit more like accessible. I play with my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old. Like it's pretty
I believe he said that if you love Pendulum Solo, you'll love Exceed.
Yeah, that's what I set out. I was like, you know what? I can do a Pendulum Solo mode. Let's do that. There's sand timers. It's great.
See, and now it comes down to the crux between the two of them. And I think, I'm going to have to approach this in a slightly different way. So you got one game which didn't have a solo mode, which Mike designed a very successful solo mode for. And then another game which didn't have a co-op mode. We came up with an idea and it was kicked to the curb. Will. So for that,
but lovingly kicked to the curb.
It doesn't matter. It was our concept. They didn't even send a thank you. No, only joking. So because of that, and just to support Mike, because he's we all know Salvation Road didn't quite get the love it deserves. So I'm going to go with. I've got it down here as well. Yeah, I've got Salvation.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I got mine somewhere right here too. It's right here.
Like Salvation Road, and we're all looking forward to kind of what he's doing with Manor Meg as well, Mega Man as well. So, so having played that, and think, maybe he's onto something here. With a few more years under his belt, he might actually, design something worth.
Are you really going to pass Mike's number 1 and number 2 into round 2? You're going to give Mike 2 in the quarterfinals?
I am indeed going to give Mike 2 in the quarterfinals. Well, I'm going to go with Exceed. It sounds more up my street, and I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try Mike's solo mode. I enjoyed Theurgy for what it is and what it was, and I hope it's very successful. But I think Succeed would hit more of a chord with me.
So I'm glad you've let down your country.
Wow.
Well, that happens on a daily basis.
All right, so we are into the quarterfinals. There are 3 matches left. For people keeping score, Mike has his number 1 and number 2 left with Bullet and Exceed, and Mark and I both have our number 1s left with Voidfall and Pingyao Golden Pawner.
Oh, those were all our number 1s. That's interesting.
Yep.
I knew that all our number 1 seeds made it in. I didn't realize Pingyao was your number 1.
I really thought Theurgy had a shot there. Once I got past round 1,
I want to play it. I want to play it. I remember you explained all the rules to me, and I liked everything you talked about, so I'm into it.
It's a cool game.
All right. So we have Bullet versus Voidfall.
Wow. That's a different. Those are very different games, aren't they? Jeez. One's like a 20-minute game you can teach in like 3 minutes. The other one is Voidfall. Gosh. You want to go first, Mark?
Wow. Okay. So Voidfall versus Bullet. As you already know, I'm not Bullet's biggest fan. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm not Bullet's biggest fan. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a 20-minute game. You can teach in 5 minutes. It's great as a filler game. Bullet is a filler game. Does it have longevity in terms of constantly pleasing large groups of people? Can you sit down and you think, I've got a few hours to spare, I'm going to spend a couple of hours playing Bullet? No, you can't. Whereas with Voidfall, you've got a 4X game, solo, co-op, competitive, with a dynamic map, dynamic cards that are coming out of the solo game, which drastically alter what's happening on the board for you. You have a wonderful range of technologies that you can do. You've got asymmetrical factions that you can take control of as well. It covers all bases, Voidfall. I think and I'm not just saying this to win this competition. I think it's possibly the game I'm most excited about receiving the final copy for, because I think it's a complete package. It's got more or less everything going in there. It's probably going to be kind of almost peak Mind Clash. And I understand that, Mind Clash have a barrier to entry. They are complex games. But I think Voidfall is a game that the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. So for me, it has to be Voidfall.
All right, so I just want to thank Mark, because I agree, an asymmetrical game with really amazing differences between solo and co-op play and competitive play, all of which play great. I think that is a great description of Bullet, as well as Voidfall. But yes, one of them is accessible, is easy to play, definitely works great. You've actually played it, Will, and you know that it's fun. And they didn't, you didn't reach out and get stood up by the publisher, as you mentioned earlier.
True. The butt is strong.
I really like Voidfall. I will certainly, absolutely bust out Voidfall once every year or two, once I have my copy. But in terms of a game, like in terms of actual time I will put into playing a game, in terms of they already have 2 new sets that came out, Star is coming out soon. If you want more content, if you like
which is just more of the same. Basically,
not even the tiniest bit. Once you played it, Mark, you don't know what you're talking about. So I mean,
but he did say it with confidence and with an accent, which makes me believe it.
This is true. Yeah,
yeah. So I think these are both fantastic games. I don't care which one you pick, Will, but yes, in terms of like which one will actually be on my table and which one I know will be on your table, Will, whether it's you playing it, I don't know. Bullet is clearly the winner here.
Yeah, so that's that boy. Two totally different types of games for sure. And Bullet is enjoyable. And I would love to play Voidfall with one of you. Yeah. I don't know that I want to set that thing up and dive through it myself, because I will say in general, even with a Fractal and some other 4Xs I don't usually like playing 4Xs by myself. Usually I like, okay, give me 3 or 4 people and we're going to make a day of it and we're going to play 3 hours and, be raging and table flipping and it'll be fantastic. Not much table flipping in Bullet. It's over too quick. And, it was only Mike that would want a table flip because I think I beat him. Oh, yeah, I did.
Yep, you did.
But I think there is a deep fear in me that if Bullet wins, Mike might have both of the semifinal, and that cannot happen.
How many times have I been voted down just because of the bracket today? That's fine, though. I'm totally cool with that. I
have to give it to Voidfall, even though my wife would never play Voidfall, and she likes Bullet. So
I can't teach you Voidfall, Will. It's a great game. I could definitely show it to you on TTS sometime.
All right, giving it to Voidfall. I'm not sure that's the right choice, but I have to stop the steal.
Wow.
Which brings us to our last round, or our second to last round. Pingyao Golden Pawner versus Exceed.
Now these are very similar games.
Absolutely.
Chinese banking system versus punch in the face fireball.
I think that's the next expansion for Pingyao is punch in the face fireball banking.
So let's see. What have I not already said about Exceed? So just to kind of sell it again, and with that comparison to Senjutsu, Mark, because that's what you've played, that is a very similar system, like very, very similar. Exceed adds in a bit more consideration of range. Senjutsu, clearly you have like at most a Naginata or something that maybe like lets you attack from 2 hexes away, Mark. In Exceed, you have some characters that are like fireball throwers and attack from like 7 or 8 spaces away. And the interplay between characters. So it's not just the asymmetry of the different characters, but it's also how differently it becomes the second you throw a close range thrower or brawler against like a long range fighter. So again, with my solo mode or with this actual 1v1 play, I think the legs of this one, I mean, it's had tournament scenes and like things through level 99 for years. I think it's an endlessly playable and fun game. I don't know what your background is with video games, Mark. Like, I don't know if you ever played Street Fighter or any of those kind of things. But
He
if you
was
did,
big
this
into
feels
Pong.
like playing those, but in a strategic card game instead of like a frenetic, button smasher. So I think you'd like it, but I like Pingyao too, so it's fine.
Will, tell me about the fireballs in Pingyao.
Okay, so I'm gonna call back to your love of Kanban and games like that. So because I know a dry theme doesn't scare you.
That's true.
I know a dry theme doesn't
This is
scare
so true.
you.
Yeah.
And the British are all about banking, right? That's like one of your things. I've seen Mary Poppins. I know.
Indeed, yeah. We all wear bowler hats when we go to work. Yep.
Absolutely. But
I love the Mary Poppins call out, Will. That was my favorite thing of today.
You're welcome. And so, but here's what I'm going to pitch you on. Yes, it's got some beautiful understated art, which is great. But take the beautiful dice rolling chaos of the Cosmic Frog, and then you put that into your beautifully balanced Euro game and your worker placement. And so what you're doing is, based on the number you roll on the dice, you roll at the beginning of the turn, that's what you're basing your entire plan on. Based on these numbers that you roll, there's a little bit of mitigation that you can do. And the lower the number you've rolled, your worker is that much better. And you're going to take that and put that out, and you're going to get a stronger action. But you're going later in the round. And the other fun thing is, if you have re-rolled your die and you put a higher number than someone else has put, and you're bumping them out, you're going to get a worse action, but you're going to get paid for it. So even if you have a bad roll, you're going to get a bonus for it. So it's this beautiful bit of chaos at the beginning that then you get to crunch down and really flex your Euro British banking bowler hatted brain into.
It is cool dice placement. I definitely have to agree with Will on that.
I do like games with dice placement. I think they work very well. Will, is Pingyao available for people to buy yet?
I actually, as we were talking, I just got an email that says freight booked. I haven't read it, but it means they've booked.
Oh, cool.
The
So what is that, like 2 or 3 months out? That's pretty good. Or hopefully, who knows with the world how it is right now.
So I would assume it'll be February, March, would be my guess.
And the Golden Pawner thing, was that an addition for the game as well? Yeah.
Yeah, it came with it, and I mean, you could go to China and pick it up right now. Like they have, it's been published in China for a while.
And does Pingyao have a solo mode?
It does.
Yeah. It works out pretty well. It's like kind of like scenario based. It's kind of not that replayable once you do a given scenario, but there's a few in there. So I think it's pretty good.
There's, I think it comes with 12 different scenarios you're doing for the base game, then another 12 or so with the Golden Pawner.
Okay, so I obviously haven't played either of these games at all, so I'm going in completely blind on this. And if the artwork on Pingyao is anything like Dunhuang, then I know that the artwork is thematically absolutely fantastic, beautiful, beautiful artwork. What's the artwork like in Exceed, Mike? It's
Japanese animation, which I know is not everyone's bag. It's not like cheesecakey bad taste. Actually, and some of it is like they actually have Street Fighter characters and like Shovel Knight characters, so it's different for each season.
Okay, so I do like a dry Euro. Absolutely, Will. I like a dry Euro. I love the idea of kind of getting better every time I play, working out strategies, getting better each and every time I play, but still having that element that comes in that's going to send me off my game and send me in a completely different direction. Whereas with Exceed, absolutely, it's going to scratch a particular itch, I think, and that is kind of just making sure that you have this arcade style combat that you're going to have with people, and Mike's designed the solo mode for it on a one-to-one base. On a solo basis. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. This is a very difficult one to do, having not played either of them. You both put absolutely compelling cases forward for each and every one of these. However, it's going to come down. I've kept a little log here of how much shade has been thrown my way. Mike, you've thrown one element of shade my way. Will, 412 so far, and rising.
But I did give you Voidfall.
But you did give me Voidfall. Absolutely, yes. So it is a very, very, very difficult decision here. Is this to go through to the final?
Yes, this is the final against Voidfall.
Oh, he's going to do which one he thinks he can beat.
Yeah, well, that is.
Well, he's also
a
determining
thing.
which of us is the judge, which is interesting because it's going to be me or you, Will.
So I think I am. Oh God, this is so difficult. Who wants to bribe me? Come on, bribe me with something.
I will not bribe your hair or bribe your hair. I won't braid your hair or bribe your hair.
Negative bribery, the absence of an action, really?
Yes.
I guess it's called a threat, Will. I think it's a threat until you remove the threat. That is not a bribe.
No. That's how they do it in England. That's how they do it in England.
Okay, fine. I think. Wow. Let's go with, just to make it a very different final here. I'm going to go for game style here. We're going to go for Exceed, because otherwise we've got two Euro style games up at the front, and I think that we'll take Voidfall against Exceed. We'll do a David and Goliath in this case of extremely different games. And Will, I think you're the fairest judge out of all of us. Yeah. So,
Mike, how do you feel about me as a judge?
I think you have your reasons. They're not the reasons I would have chosen, but they are logical in the standpoint you're taking. So I respect that.
Oh my gosh, that is devastating. But
the grand finale.
Oh, I blew it. I should have tossed out, Mark, that I would say Pingyao is many times better than Dunhuang. That's what I should have tossed out there.
Okay, fine.
But anyhow,
well done on throwing shade on their new game.
Yeah. No, it's fine. All right. Voidfall versus Exceed. I need to take a moment to recover from that devastation. All right, I'm recovered. We'll start with Exceed. Mike's number 2 versus Mark's number 1.
Yeah, I mean, there's another level 99, so it's kind of the same thing. Exceed has more variety in the fighters. Voidfall is going to have a lot, don't get me wrong. But Exceed, even in a single season, has 12 to 16 fighters, depending on which season it is, each totally different. It's a ridiculously cheaper buy-in. You can get one set of Exceed discount for like $15. Voidfall is going to have the amazing you're certainly getting what you paid for. I'm not like criticizing Voidfall, but it's going to be an over $100 game when you get to retail and stuff. Exceed, you can play. Usually I play a series of 2 or 3 games. It is that kind of game. It kind of plays well with that, keeping the same characters. So you kind of like get to know their deck better. But it is, you can play it in 20 minutes if you want to. But it can also kind of stretch into a more of a tournament sort of feel to it. Whereas Voidfall only has the 2 to 3 hour playtime. Exceed takes almost no space on your table. You can throw it down and clean it up very quickly. Voidfall is going to eat your gaming life or your dinner table for a few days, probably. Exceed, you can learn in about 5 minutes. Voidfall, you can't. So in terms of accessibility and in terms of variety, which, for me is kind of 2 of my main things that I love. And in terms of, I love sci-fi themes, but I also love fighting games. Again, Will, I'm not sure what your video game background is as much as Mark, but if you were ever in the arcade, busting coins in a Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or any of those, they literally have Street Fighter characters in here. You could be Ryu versus Chun-Li if you want to.
Well, I will admit, I do know the difference between Ryu and Ken.
There you go.
See that difference.
And they play slightly differently. They have similar decks that Exceed, but a little different, just like in the video game. So yeah, this is and I think it's great for solo. I think it's great for competitive, and I like Voidfall too. So either way, I will give it up to the Lord and Savior Will.
So, Mark, before you jump in, that's a quick question of the space of Voidfall. So I've been seeing your defensive Procyon pictures.
Yeah,
Voidfall is bigger. Have you seen how big the hexes are?
Is it really bigger, Mark?
Each hex is going to be like the size of my head. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not too much, Mark, right?
It's going to take up some table real estate. Absolutely. Do you know what it's going to do? It's going to enhance your table. That's what it's going to do. Whereas Exceed could just get knocked off and maybe mistaken for some flyers that come through from the local pizza parlor, that kind of thing.
Or your Resident Evil game.
Yeah, the Resident Evil game. Yeah. But I think
the cards in Exceed are thicker than the player aid in Resident Evil 3.
But I think you hit the nail right at the beginning when you introduced this section for Mike. You said, Mike, this is your number 2. And I think
Only because he knocked out my number one, just so it wouldn't be with my number two. That's the only reason my number one's not in here, just to say.
Now, if we're talking about a game that's a number two, and if that's how you want to define your game as a number two, then that's absolutely fine. Then Voidfall is my premium game, the one I'm looking forward to the most. Now, don't get me wrong, sounds like Exceed's got this kind of okay solo mode by this guy who dabbles in things a little bit.
He sucks. He's bad.
Yeah. But the fact that in your own house, your wife doesn't play Exceed, she plays Bullet. Yeah, remember that. So she doesn't play Exceed, it's Bullet. And she won't want to play Voidfall. Of course she won't, but this will give you some great alone time, that much needed alone time. You can set your wife up with Bullet, which is not Exceed because it's better. And you can play Voidfall and have a great time having space, 4X, Euro goodness. And you know what is available as well? Is Mike and I can both teach you Voidfall, whereas only Mike can teach you Exceed, and let's face it, nobody wants to spend that much time with Mike on their own. So I think
5 minutes is too long.
So I will. First off, Mark, have they put that quote that you just gave me for Voidfall on the advertisements? Your wife's not going to play it because, of course, she won't. Because if they haven't, they really should.
They should do. I will reach out to Dorker at Mind Clash after this and make sure they use that on the poster. Yeah, but as long as Mike said, as long as Mike can quote Exceed as being a number two, I think that's good. Yeah.
So the not so subtle shade of comparing Mike's choice to poo is a good move. Like, that was solid. That was very solid. But I will say, Mike did bring up a new argument of the cheapness of purchasing Exceed. $15. That's pretty good.
That is good.
And
yeah.
I have to assume that Voidfall, you're gonna want those expansions. You're gonna want those.
It's a little bit more than $15.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tad more.
Now, the thing that does frighten me the most about Voidfall is the Mike-sized face hex tiles. That
Mike's got a very small face. That's what you're seeing on the screen is actually life size. Yeah.
You got to fit a lot on those hexes. I mean, a lot of stuff goes on there.
So that there is that
triple layered hexes will triple.
They are triple layered.
What does that even mean?
Yeah. 3 layers.
3 layers.
I know what triple layers mean, but how does that even work?
So you have different levels for putting things in. They're double-sided, triple layered. That's what they are.
I mean, talk about cool. Quality. You don't know what he's talking about, Will, but it is neat.
That's kind of breaking my brain a little bit. I truly don't understand what that means. But I think I'm tempted to roll that die again. It's tempting.
No, the end can't come down to a die roll. This is
come on, man.
But I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
It's got to be you putting your reputation and any future
I am going to go with
you get from developers on the line. Yeah.
I'm going to go with this purely based on. Actually, they both do sound fun. I would actually like to play both of them now. Purely based on the introduction of a new argument in the final round, I have to give it to the poo, the number 2 of Exceed.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal! It's not even your number 1 game.
I tried to make the steal happen. All you had to do was pass Pingyao on.
And it's true. That would have been locked out. You did it yourself, Mark.
I did indeed.
And I certainly, by the way, as I do like Pingyao, I certainly would have picked Voidfall over Pingyao. If that makes you feel better, Mark. You defeated yourself there.
But so there you have it, everybody. That is our winner. The 3 Idiots most exciting game that we covered last year goes to Exceed,
which literally only I've played. This is kind of ridiculous, right? Like, I think that's the only game on the. Is that the only game on the entire list that not 2 of us have played? I believe it is.
Camp Grizzly.
Oh, you're right. Okay, good call.
But that is it. So there is our winner. I had a blast with
winner.
this. I would actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'll say thank you guys for joining me. I had a blast with this. I don't know if we've elucidated anything of great intellectual depth here, but I had a blast. And your final thoughts, Mark?
Wow, I mean, that was so much fun. And I think one thing that two things it cemented is, first of all, there is no science behind whoever won or whatever was in this list. They're all great games, obviously. They wouldn't be on the list if they weren't great games. We all love them for a different reason. And genuinely, we all came up with 4 different games as well. There was no kind of crossover on there. So that's really, really, really good. It was so much fun. I think the one thing that we did absolutely cement from this, though, is the fact that we have reached the epitome and the pinnacle of the word idiot. I think, we have proven this with this entire contest, and I loved every second of it.
And now the victory lap.
I just want to say, I won't consider it a vote for Exceed, gentlemen. I'll consider it a vote for my designing from my friends. And I appreciate that. I want to teach you the solo notes.
You carry it through 2 rounds of Mark.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, no, that was fun. And yes, well, let's all do our idiot faces again. Let's see if we remember them. I think mine was like. There we go. That was about right.
All right. So everybody, please make sure you have subscribed to Not Board Gaming with Mark Dainty, a solo focused channel. He calls it long form. We just call it long.
A Hungry Gamer with Will Brown doing amazing coverage of competitive and solo and co-op. And
let me tell you, in the One Stop Co-op Shop Discord, I get so much shade for doing competitive. So I will put up a cooperative video that everyone will like. Oh, look at you. You're doing something co-op. Oh, it's amazing. Which brings us to check out One Stop Co-op Shop. It's not only Michael Kelley. There is the lovely Barrett Dittler of Meet Me at the Table. Also of that, there's Jason Perez of Shelf Stories and One Stop Co-op Shop. There's the OG One Stopper, Colin. And I feel like I'm probably missing. Oh, and then Steve
and Peter on the streaming channel on the podcast. Yeah.
Can I just say, by the way, by this decision and me coming second, you not just let me down, you let my wife down, who's just entered the room now. Neve, come and tell them how disappointed you are in this now. I came second to Mike and Will. Say hi, Neve.
I heard you're a wonderful singer.
I hear you're a great hairdresser.
They said they hear you're a wonderful singer and a great hairdresser. Yeah.
My wife just called me and I silenced the call. She's probably like, hey, can I come home with the kids now? And I'll have to tell her yes.
Yes, Mark has released them.
I'm allowing them, as soon as you've won, I'm graciously allowing them back into your presence now then.
Thanks.
All right. So it is actually, since it is a Saturday for all of us have things that we actually need to get to, but everybody, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share to whichever channel you're watching this on, and go find the others. As always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks guys.
Will.
Bye now.
Bye.